Hello, hello, hello. We're just waiting for Dr. Sarah. She'll be joining us in one moment. So if you could hold tight, we will be with you in 1 second for the webinar.
Hi, baby. I love you introducing me. Go ahead.
It looks
and introduce me.
It is recording.
Okay, awesome. So it is recording, and woohoo! I love that we have on. Oh my goodness, it's such a beautiful night. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And this is such a beautiful gift for me to be able to share in this format and to have you participate, because for me, the more of us that realize, the more of you that realizes your abilities, your possibilities, the more possibilities and oneness opens up for all of us. And I want to make sure that we cover tonight's class, tonight's course is so close to my heart. I just got back from Egypt, and I love doing activate your higher senses. So the sacred ceremonies that we did there, sacred ceremonies that we can do every day of the week. Every breath can bring in our higher senses. And I want to define out some of the things that I mean by higher senses. The ancient Egyptians believed we had 360 to 365 senses. Most of us have been taught in school that we have our sense of smell, our sense of touch, our sense of taste, our sense of hearing, these just 5 limited senses. Then we went on to include maybe intuition or another higher sense. And now, even in Western medicine, we are recognizing that we have 21, that some organizations have recognized 22 of our senses. And there is so much beautiful research for us to really be able to talk about and speak about and activate our higher senses. So these are abilities that live within our body. They are available to every one of us. And I have a core belief that what created us gave us everything and held nothing back. So like an acorn sprouted, seeded, plants a tree, that acorn drops more seeds. Every acorn from that acorn tree can create another whole, absolute, complete acorn tree. And what was given to us, what was given to you, is so incredible and so extraordinary. And the ancient ones in many cultures, the priests, the leaders, the ones that were responsible for the community knew how to use these senses. If you believe in Atlantean times, Lemurian times, if you believe in and are familiar with cultures that existed long ago. One of my friends is Jose. He is a Mayan daykeeper or a Mayan elder. He is Jose Mooney or Jose Monique. He's got a lot of different names that have been given to him by tribe members. He is a Mayan daykeeper, and he's been orally trained. He's been trained since the time he was born to keep records, and of particular times pass down records. And I was literally just a couple weeks ago in Egypt with a beautiful group of people, and we were studying the walls. We were with the local, I call him a shaman. He himself does not necessarily recognize himself as a shaman, but he was born in Luxor Temple. He's led 43 tours, or 43 years worth of tours, and people like Greg Braden, who is a amazing scientist, Marianne Williamson, the luminaries of our time traveled with Emil, Quest Tours with Muhammad Nazmi, people like Pink Floyd, and people that I can't name because they asked me not to name them, traveled with the same group and a lot of the places that we had access to. And a lot of the things we did were in order for those that were chosen to be on the trip, those chosen to be on the trip with me were chosen to initiate and activate within themselves these higher senses, and also for our world, a sense of love your neighbor as yourself, love yourself as your neighbor. That was part of the mission that we went to Egypt with. The other part of that was to really fully realize abundance, or a knowing of our connection to source. When we were inside our mother's womb, our body created itself. We didn't struggle with our mind, with our thoughts, with our beliefs, to limit what could be created in our body when we got birthed into this world. And a different shaman, a Native American, Chief Phil, taught me we are here in this realm, in this miraculous realm, to fully trust and be able, like in the womb, to get our spiritual wings, or our higher senses, or our ability, our miraculous self fully realized and into play. And so I am so glad that you're here with me, because again, we're going to talk about and we're going to activate the higher senses. And so you being here helps me be able to really step into and share this PowerPoint. And at the end, we'll have time for questions. And again, we are recording this, so others will be hearing this. If you join in by video, or if you join in by audio, others will be hearing this. This will be later posted on social media, whether it's YouTube or on my website, just to be fully aware of that. Baby, I'd love to bring in and make possible some of, there's a presentation and a PowerPoint, so we can understand some of the science and understand some of the sacred ceremonies, sacred geometry of ancient Egypt to activate our higher senses. I am and do speak regularly in Los Angeles. I do speak regularly in Sedona and in Encinitas. Most people that are in my coaching program or in the Miracle Makers Academy have first access to know when I'm available. And literally since I got back from Egypt, we've been going through so many activations and our higher senses really being fully realized. This image that we're looking at is the we are energy. And truly, everything is energy. On the left-hand corner of your screen, you'll read the pineal gland, out of body experiences, no body. Whenever you dream, whenever you step in to your mind's eye that is connected to all time and space, you are out of body. And currently we are co-creating what happens in our environment and leading consciousness movements, leading science in quantum physics and biology, research is really showing how our DNA, how our environment is affected. And one of the things that is really beautiful to fully understand, our body reads other people's bodies. Our senses read other people's emotions. I want to list one study that was done that will really emphasize this point. People were put on a treadmill, and they were wearing sweat pads while they were on the treadmill, and they were instructed, and their sweat gathered while they were on this treadmill. A second group was given sweat pads to collect their sweat, and they were thrown out of an airplane in parachutes, like doing parachute the drops. The sweat pads from those on a treadmill and the sweat pads from those that had been thrown out of an airplane were then put in and given to third test subjects. And those third test subjects' brain waves and heart waves and body was being measured. And when the sweat pad of the person on the treadmill was presented to them, their body responded with the same things that was happening to the person on the treadmill. Their body was able to sense their sweat was of energy, was of working out, that's how the heart, the body, the brain waves responded. So the third test subject that was being measured could know just by smelling the sweat, but their body knew what the person's sweat pad was doing. When that third test subject was given the sweat pads and smelled the sweat pads of those that had been tossed out of an airplane with a parachute on, their body responded with fear. Their body knew that sweat had come from a person that was experiencing a fear response. And it's really beautiful when you look at this image, what heart math created and what our senses, all of our senses, our body is so intelligent. It knows how to read and to mimic and mirror and create within it what has happened to another that is in our field. Our heart puts out an electrical field that's 1,000 times stronger than our brain. So your heart is 100 times. Your electrical field is 100 times stronger than your brain. So you have a thought, but the emotion that your heart is having is 100 times stronger than the thought that you're having. And this is your heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger than the brain. And it's so extraordinary when you fully get that study, that understanding of what was happening with those test subjects on the treadmill that were sweating, being listened to through the senses, through the sense of smell by the third group that was being measured. That third group's heart, that third group's body knew in its senses what had happened to another. And there are more studies that I can share with you, but your body, your sweat, your smell, your pheromones put out through the magnetic field, and your sense of smell works through magnets. It's magnetic. It's very, very interesting, and it would take me about an hour and a half to explain just your sense of smell. But to fully understand, your sense of smell is magnetic. Your heart's magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger. Your magnetic field is sending out a signal, and every area that you have not completely healed in or are not in control of, that you haven't made a choice around, you have a default set or a default way of being around it. And that default button, that default way of being around it, brings to you, draws to you all of the experiences in order for you to heal it. And so when we're looking at this image is just so, we are energy. You have chakra system, wheels of energy in your body that Western medicine, Eastern medicine, ancient and modern medicine really, really show. You have thoughts, your heart, your emotions, and you have subtle energy. Every one of your cells, every part of your body is experiencing subtle energy. And that is subtle energy, is energy. And what you believe mutes what's possible for you. And every area that you haven't fully engaged in or made a conscious choice around, the default button is creating and transmitting a reality that is co-creating consciousness, is co-creating what happens out there in the world. And so we are reality makers. And I love Einstein, who really shares, and we're going to go through some of this, but the most important thing is your body is a representation of what Pythagoras quoted, the ancient temples, and anything in nature really demonstrates this so beautifully. All was numbers. Numbers was the substance of all things. Numbers rule the universe. Numbers is the ruler of forms and ideas and the cause of gods and demons. Geometry is the knowledge of externally existence. And when I go back to this image, it really, again, your brain waves can be measured. Your electrical field, your heart's electrical field, these are numbers, is 100 times stronger. Your heart is a magnetic field. That magnetic field is 5,000 times stronger. When you get and activate all of what you are through removing the beliefs that inhibit you, you change an atom in your fractal, in your body, in your consciousness. You change the whole field. And I love that we have this graphic up. We have several of these graphics, but this graphic was made for me by a woman in the Philippines. I would send her my lectures, my live lectures, and she would make graphs for me based on that. And so it's misspelled, but I love seeing this one that has the misspelling of consciousness in it, because it reminds me of her. And when she started, she was homeless with a child. And I didn't realize it until maybe about the third time that she was working for me. And then she shared the story with me of there were so many women like her. And she helped create a group of women working and creating graphs and creating things. And one person, you, fully becoming available and sharing your struggle. And it took her the third time that we met through the internet for her to share her struggle. But when she shared it in words and in language, we could create something, a reality for her that worked and helped her. And it's, I've lost touch with her. I've got her contact info, but I've lost touch with her because she no longer needs me, needs the work that I'm doing. I no longer, at the time, I needed someone outside of where I was to be able to help me. We helped each other. She formulated great things, constructed great things for me. I was able to construct for her connections to other people that needed her, able to help her organize people around her for, you know, just a few dollars here and there to really construct. And that's what brings me joy. It brings me joy for us, you, me, for me to organize our life so that one moment, but what I was giving can be multiplied. What you're here to do, you've got higher senses within you, but you've got to be able to share courageously what you are experiencing, because you've got ingredients in your body. And again, I love this, the human body ingredients. And I'm a little bit of a science nerd, and I'm very much able to tell you that the periodic, periodic table meant so much to me growing up and when I was learning chemistry, and it running numbers in my mind. And then when I understood our human body experience ingredients, I got so excited, because I started being able to put together pieces that didn't make sense until I understood the periodic table, understood, oh my gosh, we are exchanging oxygen constantly. Everything in our body is carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and carbon, the so-called backbone, building block, and key part of other important compounds. It's carbon so important, hydrogen, and I really want you to understand where it comes from. And when you understand where your bones, where your blood, where the air moving through your body is coming from, so much will happen for you in just that activation itself.
What is the most astounding fact you can share with us about the universe? The most astounding fact is the knowledge that the atoms that comprise life on Earth, the atoms that make up the human body, are traceable to the crucibles that cooked light elements into heavy elements in their core under extreme temperatures and pressures. These stars, the high mass ones among them, went unstable in their later years. They collapsed and then exploded, scattering their enriched guts across the galaxy. Guts made of carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and all the fundamental ingredients of life itself. These ingredients become part of gas clouds that condense, collapse, form the next generation of solar systems, stars with orbiting planets. And those planets now have the ingredients for life itself. So that when I look up at the night sky, and I know that, yes, we are part of this universe, we are in this universe, but perhaps more important than both of those facts is that the universe is in us. When I reflect on that fact, I look up. Many people feel small because they're small and the universe is big, but I feel big because My atoms came from those stars.
It's such an important thing for you to fully recognize where your atoms came from. Your atoms came from those stars. And when you took your first breath and you locked in breath in your body, you locked in and activated all of the oxygen, the carbon, the hydrogen, the nitrogen, the calcium, the phosphorus, the potassium, the sulfur, the chlorine, the sodium, the magnesium, the manganese, the iodine, the iron, the zinc. You locked in, initiated, and activated a universe inside yourself. It's so beautiful to fully understand that your heart produces a wave, that it locks possibility into place. You change the electrical field around everything on the planet. This is what the ancient ones in Egypt, the ancient ones in every culture, this is something that they understood. It's written in sacred text. So is above, so is below. What you're feeling, what you're believing, what you're expressing is co-creating and transmitting to our reality. And what you're made of, the components that you're made of are so beautiful, and the way that they express themselves in the world is in perfect alignment with what you will allow yourself to receive, with what you will allow yourself to flow, what you will allow yourself to really, really become possibility around. All of the areas in your life that you have possibility around expands and grows. Every area of your life that's an open system that doesn't have a limiting belief around it grows you and grows what's possible for everything and everyone. And it's so extraordinary because I want you to consider, so is above, so is below. You are very much, every part of you is the earth and representative and carries the earth within it as well. The oceans make up 2/3 of the world. 2/3 of your body is made up of water. The pH balance and the mineral content of your blood is the ocean. The land mass, the components of the land mass, all of that flow. And it's really important for you to recognize that every 16 days, about all of your water in your body is replaced. Every 16 days, your blood, all of the nourishment, all of the nutrition, and every breath that you take, it's extraordinary. Every breath that you take exchanges with the environment. It's just so beautiful when there is flow in, and this is so important. When we meditate, we allow our thoughts to flow, and we don't necessarily let a thought take over us and become us. When we're dancing or being one with music or really being with the environment, we are in flow. We are doing an activation of our higher senses. when we let go of our thinking and become one with everything around us, it's like we allow the densest, the heaviest part of us, which is our, there's so much space within every one of our molecules. There's so much space in there. It's so beautiful and so extraordinary. When we become space and we tune in, we allow the space flow to happen in our lives. When we are restricted by doing, by having, by preconceived ideas and notions, we reduce what's possible for us. And so one of the most important things whenever you feel stuck or whenever emotion comes in is for you to invite in the thought, who would I be without this thought? And to really, like, a true question around that. That's a sacred ceremony, moment to moment. If you become the senses that you know you are, the moment you feel stuck or a lower vibration, if you initiate a taste in your mouth, just connecting with the taste, or smelling what the moment might smell like, or feeling the temperature or the weight of something you might be holding. This is sort of the energy of when we're stuck. It's mucky, it's not clean, it's bacteria, dis-ease, cancer, things can grow in our body when we're not being flow. And all of our systems in our body, all of our senses, all 300 to 365, the last 5 senses were really reserved for those that had built like a pyramid to the peak of who they were, to add in those additional senses. It's really quite lovely. Your pineal gland, your body recognizes sacred symbols, symbols that were created long before now and occur in your body and in nature. Sacred ceremony to do for yourself, with yourself, really involves, and it's really beautiful that the pineal gland, the eye of Ra, some of the ancient symbols from ancient Egypt are mathematical equations. Every time you do draw or begin creating something or noticing patterns, you are activating a higher sense within yourself. And the best pattern to notice is the patterns of yourself and the patterns of the people that are around you. That's the most important patterns for you to recognize and to consistently create ways to recognize more of yourself. And the underlying primary psychic reality is so inconceivably complex that it can be grasped only at the furthest reaches of intuition, and then but very dimly. That is why it needs symbols. And so really noticing patterns in your environment, that was said by Carl Jung, noticing patterns and very much starting to draw symbols for yourself and noticing what happens for you. Some cultures really frown upon the word psychic, and so many people are now using the word remote viewing. Carl Jung and many of the teachings from ancient Egypt, from China, from India, from the Native American and from the Mayan traditions really speak about time all being now, like the past, the present, the future is all right now. As children, we kind of understood that, and many children spoke about past lives or were able to recognize things. A great story that I can share about this that I heard was a young boy was on a plane with his mom, was flying into Louisiana, and looked out the window and said, "Oh my gosh, it reminds me of Ethiopia." And 4-year-old kid and people around him started laughing. They laughed at this young boy going, "Oh, it reminds me of Ethiopia." And the mom being very embarrassed for her son and for everybody laughing, and people not recognizing that at one point Ethiopia was a marshland at one point, and this child, 4-year-old, who'd never been to Ethiopia, the mom didn't even know how he knew Ethiopia. She was like, "Oh, maybe he heard it on television." And as he got excited about landing, he's like, we're landing. And someone called out, "Oh, are we landing in Ethiopia?" And everyone cracked up and laughed. And that young 4-year-old kid locked in the no, don't share that frequency, don't go into that belief system, don't connect with that reality anymore, shut down or close that channel. For some people, that happened for them in their reality. They closed down their psychic channel before they fully understood themselves or fully understood their power. And these are some of the elements for you to start mastering. And I would visit this part right here to really invite in understanding hotness, dryness, coldness, wetness. Hippocrates and many of the ancient teachings really wanted us to understand these four. It's a great way to start initiating and activating higher senses. You've got air in your body. Air is what we're breathing and bringing in. You've also got fire. Your digestive tract is the fire. You've got earth, your bones. And your bones are like the earth, liquid earth. Your bones are, we think of them as solid, but they're really holding ground for what your blood needs. And your blood is water. And when there is, for example, runniness in your nose, if you've got mucus in your nose, the fire in your digestive tract is off, or even the fire within yourself. It kind of means that you need to flow more in your digestive tract when you've got mucus in your nasal passages. When there is, when in your bones, when there is a condition or a pain in your leg, your digestive tract needs elements in it in order to make it more liquid again. Your bones are drying out, so it needs things like potassium. It needs micronutrients. Sometimes it might need green. Quite often, it needs green leafy vegetables being digested. water, whenever there is coldness in your body, it means circulation in your blood and in your bones is off. And so again, means you need more micronutrients coming in, rooted vegetables, that sort of thing. Your body is the perfect tool for you to understand all of reality. And it's so, I love Plato's allegory of us being in a cave. We are so beautiful, and I want you to be able to see yourself the way that those of us that have been training ourselves to connect with and see energy, remote view, and really fully understand the different elements that communicate. The sacred geometry overview, and again, sacred ceremonies are really about initiating and activating the sacred geometry within yourself. And the tetrahedron, drawing it, having it in your environment, creating significant things around you that connect energy, turn your fire on. The hexadron is the earth, the octahedron, air, the icosahedron, water, the decahedron. And in some mystery school teachings, there's so much evidence that when that is shared, ether, spirit, we can create so much material from that. The Vesica Pisces and the symbol of the egg, that energy, egg, and then the flower of life, the Taurus. These are images for you to draw, for you to begin to practice, for you to begin to create, to allow the activation. Again, going back to what Carl Jung said, the underlying primary psychic reality is so inconceivably complex that it can be grasped only at the furthest reaches of intuition, and then very dimly. That's why it needs symbols. And when you begin drawing this right here, air, hotness, fire, dryness, earth, coldness. Many of us made those things in school, sort of those folded, I can't think of the word right now, but it'll pop back into my head, with paper. We would fold them out and play little games based on taking squares and folding them. We were taught that, to do that, to create that, and initiated higher levels of thinking within us. This is the trip before this last one that we went to Egypt. And the image and understanding that I want you to get here is we still don't know how we built the pyramids. There's all of these theories, and the pyramids are generating energy. They are, the pyramids, scalar wave energy, Bosnian pyramids, all of these amazing places, vortexes of energy are now being recognized. And the sacred geometry of those extraordinary spaces fully shows up in so many of, the alignment of the Great Pyramid with the other two pyramids is precise. When you drive around them, how did ancient people build ancient structures so huge and so massive and so precise? They are scaled, that mathematical, perfect equations. The Great Sphinx, the discovery of its pause came through a dream. Tutmosis, what fell asleep, young Tutmosis, I believe it was Tutmosis the third, Tutmosis the fourth, I'm not sure right now. Tutmosis fell asleep. He was maybe 17th in line to get the throne, to become the pharaoh, 17th in line. He fell asleep with his buddies at the head of the Sphinx. And the Sphinx came to him in a dream and said, listen, clean out the area around me, clean it out, and I will make you the ruler of the land. He was 17th in line, but he followed the instructions of the Sphinx, and he cleaned out the sand from around the Sphinx, and he became the pharaoh of the land and a righteous, a good leader for the people there. And the important part of that is he activated his higher senses and became what he was supposed to, or the highest possibility of what he could become. Becoming that, he brought peace and goodness to the land all around him. Everything around you, the air, the molecules, everything is communicating with you. Every atom you are born with was born in the heart of a star. Every atom, every part of you drifted light years on the solar winds. Every part of you transformed, becoming over and over again you. Every part of you manifested into you. You are connected to the whole universe. You are one with the universe. Use that connection. Use your connection. You can contribute to the highest level. You can create energy from your source. You are pure energy in physical form, limited only by your beliefs. And so this part of really fully understanding the feelings of your heart affects consciousness. Every atom of you was born in the heart of a star. It brings me such joy to share all that I've just shared with you. I also want to share with you, we have a Miracle Makers Academy. Time has come to move beyond just believing in miracles and to be the source of co-creating miracles in your life. And this online academy just developed. It's literally, we're up day and night creating more and more because we're so excited about this. It's learn to embody the miracle vibration, learn the tools and practices for manifesting miracles, and be supported by a global community of miracle makers. And my husband, co-founder of this, and I want to give the best content for the lowest amount and to continue to create more and more. And part of the academy, the first thing that I want you to be part of is the miracle manifestation method. And the Miracle Manifestation Method is a 10-module course that was taught by me and this beautiful Dr. Ginger Metro. And it's designed to catapult you to the next level of manifesting. And parts of that course are synthesis of the ancient and cutting-edge teachings. The Miracle Manifestation Method covers topics such as your miraculous mojo, breaking the spells, the new magic of freedom, mastering the manifesting matrix. What do you want? What do you really, really want? And then we give you the golden toolbox. Initiate your treasures. You've got a universal app within you, and hacking the magic of momentum and minding the gap. And then there is this part, all of me wants all of you, magnetizing honeymoon love, then bulletproofing your money magic and GPS to your destiny. You have arrived. And for me and my husband, we are so, and for Wayne Dyer and even Einstein, I am realistic. I expect miracles. Part of that is because everything that the ancients, every part of you, every atom was born in the heart of a star. And so I'm going through some of these pictures really, really quickly because I want you to see the cross-section of your DNA molecule. That's a cross-section. Your DNA, every part of you is miraculous. Our Miracle Makers Academy is a subscription. It's only $10 a month, and it really helps you get the wisdom and the knowledge and the possibility of being the highest version of yourself. I'm just showing you images of people that have recently traveled to Egypt. The scalar energy that comes through being in Egypt, comes through your bones, comes through the wisdom of you letting go of beliefs. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. There are great ways for you to change that. And all of that comes through your heart. And so I would love for you to be able to fully access all of your heart, for you to fully be able to see what your heart can create for you in this lifetime when you give to yourself and fully examine what's possible for you. And so I'm so glad that you were here. There's so much information that we shared. And again, this is being recorded. It will be shared on YouTube. You don't have to speak. So many people choose not to be seen here. But I'm going to unmute you one at a time. And I would love for you to share what comes up. And I'm going to start with Michael. Michael, I unmuted you for a second. And
sure.
Hi.
Hi there.
I'm so glad that you were here.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Oh, awesome. I love that. Can you show the molecule DNA again, please? And I will, Sarah Bita, who wrote in the chat. Michael, what takeaways do you have from this tonight?
Boy, that whole thing about us being made of stars, to me, that is really just that image of looking up at the stars and seeing that we're made of them. To me, it's going to completely change my perception of when I go out under the night sky, and just the sacredness of who we are, and even showing us that molecule of the DNA, just the sacredness you know, of the of who we are is what I really took away from tonight.
Thank you. And is there anything I can answer for you? It's so funny because I think the people that didn't want to be on dropped away very quickly. So there's only a couple people that are left. And so we've got a little bit of time. Is there anything I can answer for you personally?
Just for you in Egypt, what is the most powerful experience and place that you've experienced in Egypt?
It's really extraordinary. Each place has an initiation and activation and process for it. And
Sure.
this recent trip when we went to Hathor Temple, and
Okay.
every step of the way, so there's two temples that I think are very, very important. Hathor Temple this time, when and every step of the process, we did a lot of extraordinary initiations and activations. So before we got into the temple, we did beautiful activation ceremonies with oils. Then we went in and saw sunrise inside the temple. We then noticed the points that were being highlighted by that day's sun in the morning, and we internalized and understood the symbols and became them in our body. Then we went down and we ate. So our guide, who's been leading for 43 years, I was guided to ask him to feed us somewhere very close and locally. And so we stopped and we ate beautifully with a group. But we stopped at this just off-road place, and the guys in this off-road place stood up, like as local as you can get. They stood up and they moved away, and very quickly a feast was presented to us. And it was an incredible, like the feast came out and we ate. And there were motorcycles all around, and our guide that has been guiding people for 43 years said, you know, he had done his thesis his PhD at that temple, and he said, oh, by the way, you are eating with gangsters. These are the gangsters of Egypt. These are the most dangerous men on the planet in Egypt. And I said, oh, can we get motorcycle rides from them? And so these guys that had stood up moved away, and when you went inside to kind of look at, there was a line of people, men, waiting to eat in this local restaurant, very tough men. And so each of the men that took those of us that wanted to go on a motorcycle ride and took us back to the gates of Hathor Temple. By the time I was coming down, I was standing up on the back of the motorcycle. So again, gangster, high speed, I love speed anyway, but in this balancing act, people that were with us had anxiety disorders that had never left the country before, but in the course of application wound up coming with me to Egypt. It was really, really beautiful on this pilgrimage. We're on the back of a motorcycle, knowing it was gangsters with their arms out, totally free at high speeds. Then we went from there to the Valley of the Kings. And we do a lot of sacred text reading as well. And so we were reading, I will walk in the valley of death. I will fear no evil, for thy rod and thy staff is with me. I will be anointed with oils, a feast laid before me in the land of my enemies, and I shall walk with goodness and mercy all the days of my life. That's Psalms 23.
Yes.
we, that entire day, and this is just one example of a few hours of our day in Egypt, with this sacred tour, with the sacred pilgrimage of activating our higher senses. And really, the only people that were allowed to go are those that could embody, love your neighbor as yourself, love yourself as your neighbor, carry the keys for abundance to be fully realized, because we wanted to create that for governments and all organizations in the world, so that we didn't have a zero-sum equation. So we walked and we created the most extraordinary, I mean, like, place to place, it was just like that. And that's one temple, one experience where everything that we were intending came to life beyond our expectations, and like miracle after miracle showed up.
Wow.
So one of the people on our journey had never seen light or energy or communicated, and would be very normal, but an exceptional spouse that he was traveling with. And he, in one of the temples, began seeing the energy. And later when we looked and described it, and later when we looked at and turned on the lights where we were, there were those symbols on the wall, and he was able to say this is what it was later on when we were recapping the experience and the teachings and downloading the information and possibilities. It was amazing because he had never seen energy like that. And then he was able, and in the next temple experience of that nature, he was able to hear communication from the statues, from the rocks, from the crystals, from the environment. And our guide was blown away by this person because they hadn't studied Egypt and they didn't know all of these things. And their sharing and assessment was accurate for what they knew of those statues and what they communicated and what they represented. And so it's really, really extraordinary to step into the higher self, the miraculous adult, the able to see energy and witness it. And yes, we did this in 2 weeks in Egypt, but it literally is possible for you wherever you are in nature. And I do set up quite often. I'm going to Sedona. I'm taking a small group to Sedona with me next month in February for connecting. Joe Dispenza and Greg Braden are there. So we'll be learning from them. And then also I'll be teaching in the Sedona Creative Life Center, but I'm taking a small group on retreat there to work on the senses that are available. And it's more powerful to do it in groups. And when you step into a group, what's possible for you is you become one with everyone in the group, and what they're good at and what their belief systems opens up more good for you and belief systems, and makes a meshment, two of like mind getting together, so much more beautiful. So I hope that answered your question.
Very much. Yes, thank you.
You're so welcome. I'm going to mute you again, and thank you for joining. I'm just so glad you're here. And Sarah, oh, you're so welcome. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, I'm good.
Where's Michael from?
Michael, where are you from?
I'm from Montana, from Helena, Montana.
Oh, woohoo! We love Montana.
Do you?
We do. We have a lot. I have friends in Montana, and there's so much space around you.
Yeah, exactly.
And so how did you hear about me or the Miracle Makers or this program?
I'm visiting Sedona right now, and I just got onto Eventbrite and looked up events in Sedona and saw your talk. But I've been having such extreme past life memories of Egypt, ancient Egypt, that I just knew that I needed to hear you and be exposed to your information.
Thank you, Michael. I'm so glad that you went on Eventbrite, and I'm so glad. I want to call you a miracle maker already for making this first miracle happen,
Thank
and
you.
remembering all of who you are. And birds communicate with you. It's very interesting because in your field, there's a lot of birds happening. What does
Wow.
that mean to you?
Well, I feel I do shamanic work, and I do feel incredibly connected to birds. When I'm driving or traveling anywhere, birds always fly right over my car, right above me. Anywhere I'm at, birds are around me. So raven, hawk, eagle, other birds too. My grandmother was very connected to birds, but raven, hawk, and eagle are my primary birds.
That's so beautiful. And so they are very much in your field. And the work that you're here to do is very, very important. And so it feels like you're taking a little bit of a time out in Montana.
I'm taking a time out in San Diego.
In San Diego. Okay,
Yeah.
tell me about that just a little bit.
Well, I have a month off because the weather in Montana is just so cold right now. And my parents are spending some time in San Diego, and they invited me to come and spend a month with them. So I'm looking forward to just walking on the beaches and being near the ocean.
So beautiful. And what's being invited for you is to really put your work out. You're an artist of various varieties, and you haven't put your art out fully yet.
Okay.
You did before, and then you retracted. And so that's what's being called for now. That's part of the month, is to really explore all the ways. Your artistic nature is another way to say that. And it might show up.
Okay.
Cloth is really important around you as well. And so it might be
Okay.
something of cloth, something of that nature,
Okay.
for the artist expression to come through.
Okay, great. Thank
Uh,
you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I look forward to the next time we connect. Thank you so much. And check out Miracle Makers Academy. It's only $10 a month. I think you would really, really get
Yes.
a major gift out of that. So glad you're here, Michael. Thank you.
Awesome. I will.
Okay. Oh, it went out just a
Do.
little bit. Your sound went out just a little bit, but I'm going to mute you and I am going to totally go back to sharing the DNA molecule after we talk to Sarah Beta. So we'll talk to Sarah. Hi, Sarah. How are you, my love? Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm so glad you're here. Hello.
Hi. I'm
Hi.
good. How are you doing?
Oh, fantastic. We have been doing marathons though. It's amazing how much we are so lit up about all the projects that we're working on, and we are on literally we jump out of bed and we're on it, and we're loving what we're creating in this great service, the next level. Greg's
It's super exciting.
He says hi.
Hi. I'm super excited for you guys.
Oh, thank you. And so I'd love for you to share what came through for you, my love. What did you experience? What did you enjoy?
Well, it's so crazy because every time I watch you, I feel like you're talking directly to me, and it's, always down to like the minute that like I never check my email, and I check my email and it's right before you go on. live and I see the email like down to the minute, or everything that you're talking about, I always feel, I'm sure it applies to, to everyone in that way because we're on a similar vibration, but it always feels like you're telling me exactly what I need to hear in exactly the right moment. So I was looking at that DNA molecule, and today I started painting, and I was making these little paintings today that look like that. The colors are similar. They're very, very similar to what you were talking about and what you were describing. So I thought that was pretty miraculous.
That is incredible. And so, baby, is this the PowerPoint right here? This one, so we can go back to it? Is it the left one or the right one?
I don't know. I don't know how you got it.
It's that one, right? Or this is where I left.
I think that's where you left off.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we'll go back. Thank you. So Sarah, are you seeing the PowerPoint?
Yeah, I see it.
Oh, good. Okay, we're gonna see if we can go back. Oh, good. I think the DNA is this way. Oh,
I love that picture of you.
so
That
yeah.
one's so beautiful.
Thank you so much. So cool. There it is, the cross section. And you want to know what's really extraordinary about DNA is it's only 4 types of protein that our DNA is, and it's very much the pattern is made by 4. And when we go back into sacred geometry, when we go back into ancient Egypt, it's really 4. The locking down of location happened. We are locking down a location within ourselves. So the region of the planet that we were born in, the time that we took our first breath, and then our being a mix of our mother and our father is extraordinary. That's part of the location that we're developed. Another way to say that is there was the mind, there is the body, then there's the spirit, and the 4th element is the time in which we took our first breath and the location in which we took it, brought in so is above, so is below. And Greg Braden and Bruce Lipton and so many of the scientists and luminaries that are studying our body and our DNA and sacred geometry. Myself, Hippocrates, the work that is done by Da Vinci, with all of that, connecting all of these different areas. Our DNA is light. The light, and it's interesting when it's in possibility, in a rainbow of light, it extends and grows. And when it's limited, it curtails itself. It releases some of the life force and ability to replicate and multiply. So I'm so glad you're creating art around this.
Thank you. Thank you. It's the right timing, and everything that you said really, really rang true. So today I was just making marks. Like kids, they make art just to make art, and I really believe that it helps them to develop their brain. And as adults, we stop doing that, like just to create just for no other reason other than to create. Um, and so I was just making these marks, and I could feel it healing my body. Like I could feel it rewiring my brain and making new connections, new neural pathways. So it was just for the pure purpose of making marks. creating something, and you put that picture up, and I'm gonna text you a I'm gonna text you a picture of this painting that I did, and you'll see all the colors and everything are so similar. It's pretty amazing.
So beautiful. Well, thank you so much. Anything else you want to add, my love?
Thank you. Always thank you.
Aw, you're
Thank
so
you to you
welcome.
and Greg.
Aw, you're so welcome. And I want to thank my husband as well. And I want to go a little bit just through what we talked about. We talked, and I'll go a little bit backwards. Just today we talked about the sacred geometry within us. And sacred geometry and sacred ceremonies activate our higher senses. We are a mixture of every atom has been born in the heart of a star, and every part of us drifted light years on solar winds, and every part of us transformed and is becoming over and over again. And what it's becoming is air, fire, earth, water. Every part of us is sensing wetness, hotness, dryness, coldness. And it's this psychic reality, the underlying primary psychic reality, so inconceivable and complex that it needs symbols. And this consciousness, if you change an atom in your reality, then the whole reality changes. You change, then everything around you changes. If nothing changes within you, then nothing changes out there as well. This is the stagnation or dis-ease. Whenever you open yourself up to possibility, you open yourself up to life. And you are 2/3 water, 1/3 land or matter, 2/3, and literally every 16 days, the water within you is changed. Every day, the air within you is exchanged. So much so, and if you're signed up for the newsletter, you will have gotten a link for dry brushing and how important dry brushing is. You can lose up to 1 pound to 2 pounds worth of toxins out of your body by dry brushing. Your air, your cells, your skin breathes, and by removing toxins, you will remove limiting beliefs. The most astounding fact in the universe, again, is that you were forged light years away. This is your body's ingredients. Everything is mathematics. If you ever want to learn more control over your energy and you feel out of control, start doing math. You'll find yourself more in control. And so this is me. I love being able to help you. We are looking for more ways and more processes and programs. And so thank you for being here. Love you so much. And I look forward to our next time together. And within the next 30 days, stay tuned for oils. We're going to do a shaman in Egypt has taught me so much about oils. There's so much to know about oils. And so at Conscious Life Expo, I'll have a lot of the oils. And at a PowerPoint presentation, Zoom presentation coming up, we're going to teach you all about some of the most important oils that you can invite into your life to shift and transform your body, your mind, your spirit. So this is Dr. Sarah Larsen. Thank you. I love you, and I can't wait to see you again in the next Zoom or in Miracle Makers Academy or in the weekly coaching that we've been able to offer for you. And as more time becomes available, I have such limited time right now. As more time becomes available, we will have more of me available for you. Anything you want to add, baby, before we tune it out?
No, that was it.
That was
Covered
it.
Yeah.
We covered it. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
End meeting.